Boy!
So are these just for fun?
I mean,
Or are they working?
they're not working. I don't even have
But
a
should we
plug in.
play with?
I don't even. No, I'm gonna fucking. Guys, right out the gate, my sound system is not working, so I apologize. I've really been trying hard to get good audio, and for the life of me, every time I try something, it just does not work. So I apologize. That the sound is not as good as it could and should be, but nevertheless,
We're still here.
we're gonna keeping on because Abby came over, we did the thing, and we're here, we're doing it, and we're gonna make it happen. So, without any further fucking goddamn ado,
You need a shot, my friend.
ado.
Cheers.
Cheers, my dears.
That was my other one. You took it from me.
Haha.
It's salute my dude and cheers my dude.
I like to salute my dude a lot, actually. That caught me by surprise in the last episode. I was like, I haven't heard that one before. Oi. Oi. Well, we finished that last episode. I'm feeling pretty good about it, and then come to find out that the sound was not coming through the mics. So that was a little bit of a bummer, but
The show must go on.
the sound still recorded through the phone, which has not happened the last couple of times. The sound has dropped from the mics, and it has just been no audio whatsoever. So I'm gonna look at this as a glass half full type of situation, because
Always half full.
we could have had no episode altogether, and that would have sucked.
I still would have come over and hung out with you and done it again.
Yeah, that's you're one of the good ones, pal. But we're gonna try and be back in better spirits over here, because we are doing some Halloween shit tonight. We are continuing our discussion of Trick or Treat from 1986, the rock and roll demon hair metal horror fest, starring Mark Price and Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne and a whole slew of other people that I just don't know their names. But before we get into the behind the scenes bullshit and all that, I'm going to check to make sure we're actually recording right now.
Yeah, good thought. Yeah.
OCD's
Make sure that they
kicking
can hear us.
And guess what? We're recording.
Cool.
Totally good.
And can they hear us?
Well, I hope so. We'll just have to talk a little bit louder than we usually would. So before we jump into the film, we got a couple more Halloween questions coming at you, Abigail. What has been your memory? What has been like the best like Halloween experience you've had? It doesn't necessarily have to be Halloween itself, but it can be something that you did during the season, or maybe it doesn't even have to be the best, but the best in recent memory.
Recent memory? Wow, okay, in memory. The neighborhood that I grew up in my elementary school was like a block away from my house. So I would walk to school, and like I think when I was in 5th grade, my brother was in 1st grade. So there was like, we would walk together, and I just remember they were totally cool. Like they were like, in the sense that like dress up.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was in some sort of little like Superman, like Spider-Man costume, and I was in like a princess costume, and just like walking across, because where we lived you had to walk across like a big field, which was the field for the school, and then like I was just like walking across the field with him and seeing everyone else dressed up, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. Like, and then later we all would go out trick-or-treating with like one parent for like 6 kids, and it was totally safe. And it was just like, we're all in this neighborhood together, and we would literally take like pillowcases because we would get that much candy, and then we would come home and we would dump it all out, and we would sort it into like, okay, here's the Tootsie Rolls, here's the like, I don't even know, Jawbreakers, here's Star Kiss, here's like all that stuff. And we would like barter with each other. It'd be like, I'll give you 2 of my Tootsie Rolls for your like, it wasn't king size, but like the half size like Snicker bars. And we would like almost play poker with each other, kind of like, I'll give you 2 of these if you give me that. Like, and no, that was my best memory always.
That's great.
Yeah,
it's really good. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I'd have to say that probably like best in recent memory, because we go to Halloween Horror Nights every year, and that's.
Are you going this year?
Yeah, we are. And that has just been our mainstay, and it's great. We have good fun every time we go. Last year we pulled a wild card and ended up going to Not Scary Farm. And
which you said was really cool.
It ended up being just one of the best like experiences that we have had. Because everything was so unexpected. How cool it was in there. How long the mazes were. How cool the mazes were. It just felt like Halloween there. Where, as much as they do kind of like every year at Universal Studios, sometimes they go back and forth. Sometimes it feels really Halloweeny. They haven't done as much as they used to with like, they used to have scare zones and fog everywhere you went. And it seems like they've kind of, dialed back a little bit of that. But
for some stupid reasons.
But Not Scary Farm was just so unexpected, and it was great. And then last year it was this really fun, like it was like actual Halloween daytime, where like I was hanging out with my son, and we were just kind of waiting for the night to happen, and I put on Go Home Monsters, the Monsters film. It's like in color and everything, and Rob Zombie had done a commentary for it, and I was just listening to the Rob Zombie commentary, and we're just kind of like, it was that, and I watched a couple other horror movies that morning, and it was just kind of like having that playing, and just kind of having like a beer or something like that in the early morning, because it's Halloween and don't have anything like better to do. It was just this
it with
it was just this great, and I have like video of like Killian like talking to me, just his little babble talk, and it's just adorable, and it's just a great memory, just us kind of spending the day together. And Celeste was at work for a little while, but then came home, and it was just a nice like morning, afternoon. Like I don't really usually in the past, like Halloween has been the day that I have to like prep all day long for Halloween parties.
I am so glad. Can I just say that I'm so glad that you guys are taking the holiday to yourselves finally, because I knew how stressful that was for you. And while I did very much enjoy your parties, like it kind of takes away.
Yeah, I think, and this is really like, and I think that's why like I go back to it as I think about that day. Like I don't think it even processed until right now when I was talking about it. I was like, what did I do on every other Halloween daytime? It's like, oh yeah, I worked all day to get my house like fucking spotless, and to have, everything perfect for when people came over. And sometimes people would come over. Sometimes people would come over and be a great party. And then sometimes only some people would show up and then be kind of a lame party. And I'm like, all right, that was Halloween. So that was that last year with just hanging out with Killian and having just a nice, like, what do I do with myself? Oh, we'll just watch horror movies all day long. Which I never do. I watch them at nighttime, before I go to bed, but I never like sit and just watch movies all day. So that was like one of those like really fun, just
that's awesome,
kind of out of the blue moments,
Yeah.
But we're not talking about not doing shit during Halloween daytime.
I am doing shit this year.
We are talking about what you were talking about, trick-or-treating. Trick-or-treat, also known as Ragman, also known as Death at 33 RPM in foreign markets. I don't know.
Is that because
RPM has to be some sort of, I would assume, some sort of musical
it is.
Ism.
It is.
But
because you can play it faster or slower. Not backwards, but you can play like a
Yeah. I gotcha.
But yeah, you know what I'm talking
about. But before we continue, we're going to be taking all of this nonsense from Wikipedia, so we got to give a shout out to anybody who's contributed to the Trick or Treat Wikipedia page, because otherwise we've been doing a lot of research and we don't get paid for that shit around these parts. So, ain't nobody got time for it. Alright, so Trick or Treat is a 1986 American horror film by the De Laurentiis, as in Dino De Laurentiis Entertainment Group, starring Mark Price and Tony Fields, with special appearances by Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne. The movie centers around a teenager who is haunted by the ghost of his rock hero. It is the directorial debut of actor Charles Martin Smith, who has a cameo in the film. What do you know?
Where was he?
I don't know.
I missed that.
I would assume you missed that unless you know who Charles Martin Smith
like
is. Because I sure don't. So we kind of gave a brief rundown, a brief summary of what the film was in our last episode. If you have not listened to the previous episode, go do that, because,
it's fun.
We like things to be in order here at the Jony Horror Podcast. Mm-hmm. I don't want you listening to part 2 before you listen to part 1. It's unacceptable, ladies and gentlemen. But I digress. We talked about the synopsis. Essentially, a youngster, his rock star hero dies, and then he gets a record that is supposedly the last record that said rock star hero had recorded. And it turns out to be, for all intents and purposes, a Ouija board to summon the dead rock hero who...
I came up with that term, Ouija board.
She sure did. We're going to go ahead and give all the credit to the Ouija boards to Abby here. So all the Ouija boards, and anyone who's ever had any issues with Ouija boards, just talk to Abby.
Oh my god, no. Don't do it. Do not bring them in your house. Do it at a friend's house and then put it in the trash.
We have one in our house.
Have you actually,
No.
Okay,
I
don't ever.
I have no intention.
Not ever.
I know Celeste doesn't either. We just have one.
No, you have one, but don't do it.
So he resurrects the dead rock star, who has the powers of a demon of sorts, and hijinks ensue. But that's like a very loose interpretation, and almost
I'm you're not getting it.
There's bullies are gonna be fucking murdered, and
no, they're not murdered.
At least one bully is murdered, and at least one girl is molested. There we go.
And abused. So.
And abused. She was in a fucking hospital, man. She's in the hospital. So we have a couple of characters here. We've kind of talked about some of them already on the previous episode, but we have Mark Price as Eddie Weinbauer, who you and I both agree.
Loved his performance.
Yeah.
Like, he was so believable. Like, it was just natural.
Yeah.
Him going from, like...
I think that's just probably the best compliment that I could pay him is that he's very, very natural, very believable.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as Mark Price is concerned, I don't know him from really anything else. It doesn't look like he has a ton
such a familiar face
on his resume.
Okay.
Looks like he was in Family Ties, the Michael J. Fox show.
Oh, yeah.
From the 80s. It looks like he was on there for a hot minute, too. It looks like he was on there from 1982 to 1989, so he had a good stretch on that.
Yeah.
And he did Trick or Treat, he did The Rescue, and he did Killer Tomatoes Eat France.
Oh my god.
Which just sounds like a fucking career killer if I've ever heard one. So
that must have been his first film.
That was his last film.
Oh god.
But Mark Price, you know what? You did a killer job in this movie, and I think you deserved a better career. So, hashtag Mark Price. Hashtag justice for Mark Price.
Justice for Mark Price.
All right. So next we got Tony Fields, who just has a very familiar name. I don't know if I've seen him in anything, but Tony Fields is Sammy Kerr. The demon rock star from hell.
Did you get a little like drag queen from him?
Just because his fucking leather pants were so tight.
Okay, well that's 80s, but there's also like in the beginning of the scene or the beginning of the movie there was like a scene where it was kind of like his pants weren't so high.
Maybe, yeah. And he does, like, look like he's wearing, like, some sort of, like, leotard / like, swimsuit sort of a deal that's, like, got cuts, like, this is clearly, like, goes into his pants sort of a deal.
No hate. Just...
I mean, it was the
like
80s,
like,
and it is that, like, I don't know how many times I can say hair metal. But what's one more?
Hair metal. Yeah.
It was the hair metal time, and they were doing all that fucking just. They had style. You know what? They had some fucking style.
Oh yeah, there were like chains and.
What do you think of his performance in this movie? Any thoughts?
Lackluster.
Yeah, he just kind of has eyeballs.
He just goes like this, and then he had all the. Special
I feel like the things that made him stand out had less to do with
him,
the performance and more to do with art direction and whatnot. Well, moving on, we have Lisa Orgelini.
Oh, is this the...
This is Leslie.
The popular girl.
I don't even know what her role in the group of friends is.
It was very strange because the opening scene, like, he's like talking about Leslie, and she, like, walks right past him in his locker, which is such, like, an iconic...
It's very cliche.
Like, cliche high school scene, and he, like, closes his locker, and she's, like, with the froofed hair, like, goes up to her girlfriends. But that's the only time you actually see her with other people besides interacting with him. Because then she's, like... He does the whole, like, cliche scene of, like, closing his locker, and she's right there. And he's like, oh. And then she's like, come to this pool party. And, oh, I'm not there until the moment that you're being drowned by the bullies.
Convenient.
Then I'm going to show up and rescue you and, like, come out with you and, like, make sure you're okay. It was just,
Well, I mean, you know, some of that is writing. Obviously, that's, you know, not necessarily like this actress is being able to, you know.
No, I get that.
Do that. So, I mean, I think as far as the performance is concerned, she is
a good supporting.
Fine. She's got like I said, they have good chemistry together.
Yeah.
And that is kiss. What makes her. That's kind of like until that kiss. But those two together, that makes her stand out more to me.
Oh, definitely.
I think Mark Price manages to help her rise above what is just a very generic girl next door sort of archetype.
Yeah.
And yeah, the two of them when they're doing their thing, they're fun to watch, But said kiss aside.
That's pretty awful.
We have Doug Savant as Tim Haney, the bully.
Very convincing as a bully.
I thought he really did great. I actually kind of had oddly enough had a soft spot for him because he's from one of my what's the word? Guilty pleasure movies, which is the 1998 Godzilla. Fucking love that movie, and I know everyone hates that movie, but I enjoy it so much. I've loved it ever since I was a kid. And he plays Sergeant O'Neill in that film, and he's very charismatic and just very, I don't know, he is believable, but he does have, even with all the terrible shit that he's doing, he's not this vindictive. He's not the worst, he does some fucked up shit too, but there are these moments of regret and he's really bothered by the fact that his girlfriend gets sent to the hospital.
Yeah.
He does do something terrible when he tries to kiss Leslie and then fucking punches her. It's not even smack.
No, it's not a smack. It's
he punches her and then immediately is just horrified by what he's done.
Yeah.
And he's very interesting as far as the bully archetype goes, because he doesn't, for all the shitty things he does, there are moments of why am I doing this almost,
And I think that was very good, him being a good actor built that into the character.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's certainly nothing in the source material that is showing that. I think he does a lot of that with his face.
Yeah.
And just his performance. So I would say that him as an actor really does help rise above the material,
Yeah. You could tell he was not necessarily comfortable playing that character, so he put his own, I just did this horrible thing, but I'm going to tell you on my face that, I didn't mean to do that, but I don't know any better, kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. We have Elaine Joyce as Angie Weinbauer, Eddie's mother.
Barbie.
I like her. She was
endearing.
Yes, that's a great way of putting it. Just every time she even has to punish Eddie at one point, but she's totally the cool mom.
Yeah.
She's.
Again, I want to know what she's doing to pay for that house, but
hookering herself. That wasn't her boyfriend. That was a gentleman that was. I don't know. I'm trying to give some.
I don't think that's
this 1986 fucking B horror movie. We're talking about this character that really has no substantial effect on the plot whatsoever.
But she did.
What does she do for a living? How does she afford this house? She's a single mother and she's always home.
But it was so cute when he was like, "Mom, don't come in," and then Sam or whatever through the radio was to be like, "Yeah, Mom, come in." He's like, "No, Mom, get me what was it, Advil and soup?
She's like, I'm gonna get you some aspirin. He's like,
Aspirin,
yeah.
Do that and soup. And you see her go.
It's great.
Yeah.
I thought she was fun.
Yeah. Good side character.
Mm-hmm. Glenn Morgan as Roger Marcus.
Loved him.
Yeah. For as charismatic and funny as Eddie is, and you would usually have like a best friend that really kind of is like a foil to that. I feel like both of these guys managed to be funny and, to use your word, endearing whilst being best friends and not like toppling each other's act. They work very well together, and I thought I like Roger. He makes it through, right? He doesn't die, right? He survives.
Hello.
Yeah, I remember
when he was like,
I remember that part. He's like, I'm actually alive, and I was like, can't remember if he survives beyond that. He does.
No, that's when we thought, because he put the freaking wrench into the. But I just love, because a lot of other archetypes in movies is like, oh, nerdy kid likes a hot girl, so nerdy friend goes, I don't like you anymore because you chose the girl over me. But it was very different, because it was like Roger was like, no, I still got your back.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna like be your best friend no matter what.
Yeah. I liked,
even though he played the tape at prom.
Yeah, well, it was like,
Halloween dance. Don't know what that is.
Well, he was doing it because Sammy said that he would kill him otherwise. So guess every man for himself. Then we have Gene Simmons as Nuke.
He was in like the first 3 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, he's the guy that gives.
I realize that now, but I did not even recognize Gene.
I had that moment of like, because I've only ever seen him in the Kiss makeup or wearing fucking glasses with like long hair and shit like that.
Yeah, so
like nowadays, and so like we were halfway through the movie and I was like, where the fuck is Gene Simmons?
Right?
I was like,
we saw.
Oh yeah, he's the guy in the beginning.
We saw Ozzy before him.
Yeah. That was my thought, and then he is the guy who gives him the records. So, it just like came and went, and I didn't even realize it. But he's cool. Like, he's definitely got that whole cool vibe.
For like
nice little cameo. I would have liked to have seen him come back at the end instead of seeing his clothes just burnt. I would have liked to have seen him get vaporized and trying to do something that we kind of understand that maybe he either did have a hand in this and was part of it, or
was like,
I had no idea,
like,
sort of a deal.
Yeah.
But instead we just kind of find his clothes, toast.
Not even that. I mean,
yeah. But that is kind of my only thing. I would have liked to have seen him come back.
Yeah.
For a little bit more. And the MVP of the movie, Ozzy Osbourne. We already talked about how great his little cameo is. The Reverend Aaron Gilstrom
not expecting that.
Was just a great fun little cameo, playing very, very much against type.
Yeah.
And then we just have a couple other side characters that sound like they're teachers and shit like that. People that I don't really recognize. Except Charles Martin Smith, who's the director, is Mr. Wembley. I'm wondering if that was the guy that was wearing the Groucho Marx sort of mustache glasses.
Who got evaporated?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's who that was. But we're just going to read a little bit about the behind the scenes. There's not too much to say here, so I should be able to burn through this pretty quickly. Blackie Lawless of Wasp was originally set to play Sammy Kerr. Ozzy Osbourne plays a televangelist decrying the evils of heavy metal music. A film titled Lunch of the Dead is displayed on the cinema marquee. According to IMDb, Lunch of the Dead does not exist as a movie and therefore was an invention from the props department. Excuse me.
I hate Easter eggs like that because I will look at that and then like Google it and it's like no,
they just made it up. You're like, no, it's supposed to be a real deal. Special effects for the film were created by Kevin Yeager, who later provided special effects for Freddy Krueger and the Crypt Keeper from HBO's Tales of the Crypt. Pretty sure Kevin Yeager at this point was probably already working on Freddy Krueger, because the original Freddy Krueger was released in 1984. Mm-hmm. I think he jumped on to part 2, which would have been filming at least in 1985, and this movie was released in 1986.
He's a father.
No, it's just.
No, I know.
I've had a lot to drink. It's not my fault.
So have I, but I'm still trying.
There's lack of oxygen to my brain. It's not my fault. It's hot in here.
It is toasty in here. I think I'm sitting next to the.
Let's see. Yeager also has a cameo in the movie as the lead singer guitarist from the band Kickers, playing at the high school Halloween dance. Scenes at Eddie's school, the fictional Lake Ridge High School, were filmed at Hoggard High School and New Hanover High School. That explains why that high school was so big. It was 2 high schools put together.
Was like, there's like, that running scene was so fun. Oh my god, and there was like this little tidbit that you didn't see. But when the slapstick for me like started, they're running through the hallways, and then there was like a trap door somewhere, and this guy like slips on oil, and like all you see is like a butt like come down the stairs. We need to rewatch that because I was like dying off of that, and you were like, Killian, do you want noodles?
Whoops.
Oops.
Parenting calls.
Of course.
I like that though. Gene Simmons originally was offered the role of Sammy Kerr, but did not think much of the script and ultimately agreed only to cameo as radio DJ Nuke. Simmons later said in an interview that he chose to play the role as Wolfman Jack, a childhood hero of his. That's what I thought too. I don't know if you've ever heard any of Wolfman Jack. He was like a radio DJ like back in like I think it was like the 60s and 70s. But he's at least like has like little bits in movies like it is American Graffiti. It's the film that George Lucas made before Star Wars. So there's music constantly playing. They always have the radio on in that movie, and he pops on from time to time. I think even the Richard Dreyfuss character, I believe, ends up going to like his studio at one point. And in Rob Zombie's 31, there's a little bit with Wolfman Jack jumping in on the radio a little bit. So he was kind of like a big deal back in the day, but that's kind of the time when radio DJs were kind of a big deal. Yeah. But that was something that I noticed right out the gate. Like when Nuke first pops up, I was like, oh, this has got like a Wolfman Jack vibe to it.
Yeah.
The title of Sammy Kerr's unreleased album, Songs in the Key of Death, is a play on the title of Stevie Wonder's 1976 album, Songs in the Key of Life. So that's a fun little bit.
Which is weird because I kind of like, not that I recognize that, but I just like, something in like the music that was playing, there was like an underlying, obviously every chord can be played into literally every song on the top 40, but I was like, something feels familiar about this.
Well,
That's
now your
funny.
answer is that it's from Stevie Wonder, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
What are the odds?
What are the odds?
Now, let's see here. So we're going to jump into the soundtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Says all of Sammy Kerr's music was composed by the band Fastway, which is a British heavy metal band formed in 1982 by former Motorhead guitarist Fast Eddie Clarke and UFO bassist Peter Way. Fastway, there you go. And composer Christopher Young. Christopher Young, who did the score for Hellraiser and Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge, and also did Sinister and Drag Me to Hell. Like he's done some good work. Has some great horror movie scores under his belt. In the stack of records where Eddie's Mother Looks, the last LP is a copy of Megadeth's Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. Also in the stack are albums by Impaler, Exeter, Possessed, and Sabotage.
There was something about that, like, shuffling, and that's when you were like, what, has she never been in his room?
Uh-huh.
And shuffling through that, I was like, I feel like that's very important. Like, the records that
I
she was
think
shuffling
it
through.
was just very much like a shout out to all these
Exactly.
these bands.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, it was a silly scene, but you know,
Yeah.
It's neither here nor there. On the walls of Eddie's room are posters of Judas Priest, Anthrax, Raven, Twisted Sister,
Yep.
Motley Crue, Ozzy Osbourne, Poison, and Kiss. A picture of the band Lindsey Borden is on his locker at school.
Mm-hmm.
Co-composer Christopher Young later composed music for the movies Hellraiser, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, The Gift, Urban Legend, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man 3, Drag Me to Hell, and The Uninvited. Like I said, man's got chops. The film, this is the release now. The film was released theatrically in the United States by the De Laurentiis Entertainment Group in October of 1986. Good to know that it got that October release.
Yeah,
It grossed just under $7 million at the box office. It was released on VHS by Lorimar Home Video the following year. The film was released on DVD in the United States by Platinum Disc Corporation in 2002. In 2014, a 3-disc collector's edition of Trick or Treat contained an all-region Blu-ray disc, Region 2 DVD, and soundtrack CD, and a booklet in digital packaging, was released in Germany by NSM Records. The edition was limited to 1,500 copies, 1,000 copies with cover art A, and 500 copies with cover art B. So that's pretty much all that is listed here on the old IMDb. Any thoughts on the behind the scenes or the soundtrack? How did you feel about the soundtrack and everything?
I liked it. I had no qualms with it. I thought it was. Are you talking soundtrack or score? Because there's like.
See, I feel like the score in this is very minimal
It's
because
minimal, right?
Because
There were some times that they needed to do like whoop, like jump scare. But
hoo-ha.
yeah, there you go. No, but I enjoyed it. I think it fit very well because it was supposed to be like a rock kind of dealio.
Yeah, I think all the music by Fastway is pretty great, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see here. I got a couple of stuff that I'm going to pull from IMDb for just a couple of behind the scenes stuff, and we'll see if any of this sheds any new light on anything. It has been rumored that Wasp frontman Blackie Lawless had auditioned to play Sammy Kerr. He was close to getting the role, and he even offered to do the whole soundtrack of the album if he got the part. But when director Charles Martin Smith told Blackie that they got Fastway to do the soundtrack and he would be lip syncing to them, Blackie refused the role, telling Smith that he didn't need Fastway's music when he had his own band to do the music.
Sounds like a personal problem.
Mm-hmm. Eddie's best friend Roger is played by Glenn Morgan, his only acting stint. He went on to be it's kind of a bummer, prolific writer-producer for The X-Files, Final Destination 3, and to direct Black Christmas remake of 2006.
Okay. Remember when I was like, come here, it's going to be a Final Destination kind of scene? With the tie being like, and then he went on to do that? I love that.
What are the odds?
I love that. What are the odds?
It's all that. It all comes together.
Full circle. Yeah.
All the songs in the movie were written by the band Fastway, which consisted of a former, we already talked about this, Motorhead and fucking UFO, blah blah blah. Cult movie company Anchor Bay were all set to release a special 20th anniversary edition DVD of Trick or Treat in 2006, but canceled it when they encountered problems with the film's music licensing, which is probably why it's so hard to get a DVD of it.
Pretty much impossible, as you told me.
Mm-hmm. Unless you want to drop an obscene amount of money.
But it's free on YouTube.
It is free on YouTube, folks. We already talked about songs in the key of death, songs in the key of life, Stevie Wonder, blah blah blah. Directorial debut of Charles Martin Smith. Eddie is wearing an Alternative Tentacles shirt at one point. This was a punk label founded in 1979 by Jello Biafra of the Dead Kennedys.
Oh.
Biafra. I'm embarrassed that I can't say that name. Contains a post-credit clip. Does it? Do you know?
Well,
oh, the Ozzy Osbourne thing.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
a blink and you'll miss it. Mark Price starred as geeky Erwin Skippy Handelman in the popular 1980s sitcom Family Ties, and now playing podcast review Trick or Treat. The film received 1 recommend and 2 not recommends. Wow. So
this podcast will get 1 million recommends.
1 million recommends. So on that note, on the recommends note rather, knowing that everything that we can possibly know about this, just given our 2 sources on the internet, without going insanely deep into everything, and having watched the film, what are your final thoughts on Trick or Treat?
I will be honest. You know that I don't watch many 80s movies, so I was like, we'll just see how this goes. I absolutely loved it. It was like the right time to laugh. There was that scene that we were talking about where I did feel like some tension. The only thing is, I wanted more gore.
That was actually something that I meant to put on my negative list that I totally forgot.
Just
It is a movie that there's a lot of
potential.
There's a lot of, like,
For-
there are killings and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
there's just, and I thought they were going to go there with the, like, nail gun to the head sort of a deal. I thought that was going to be,
Me too.
I was like, oh man, they're going to get fucking gnarly with this, and it never quite hits that. Like, it legit feels like a PG-13 movie. It's rated R, but there's,
for 86.
there's no,
Yeah.
there's no gore in this film whatsoever.
Like, maybe the splashes on the face, but, like,
Yeah.
that's why I got R at that point. But no, I wanted some, like, gnarly gore blood.
Yeah, I
But-
think I agree that would have been that is a big detractor because that was something that I was like, why is there just no blood in this movie? I meant to write that down and I totally forgot.
I think I did too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of 10, what do you give it?
Okay, I have to give it an 8. It would be a 9 if there was gore in it.
It's pretty solid.
So I'm gonna give it an 8.
That's pretty solid. Okay. So
I never give anything a 10, by the way.
yeah,
Right?
I don't think I've given anything a 10 in a while.
Besides Jaws.
Oh. I didn't give it a 10. Humanity gave it a 10. It's not my fault that it's the greatest movie ever made. You know, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I think start to finish, this is a really fun movie.
Yeah.
Really enjoyable movie. I would say, incredibly low stakes. It's, we're not dealing with the fate of the world. And even the, antagonist never really makes his demands known specifically, what he wants.
Yeah.
It's a very fun watch. It's easy going. Even at points when I would walk away, I didn't feel like, oh God, I'm gonna miss out on
Did I
something.
miss something? Yeah.
Something
Mhm.
terrible. Again, like I said, it does. Yeah, can't miss the boobs because you never know when there's gonna be another pair. Yeah, I agree that there need to be more gore, maybe a little bit more carnage, particularly for this period of 80s horror. We could have upped that just a little bit more blood. There was a lot of lightning, not a lot of blood. Some pacing issues here and there. Fun soundtrack, likable characters. I would say that it is something that I would like to return to for future Halloween seasons. It'd be a little bit more something that was in my database, in my vault, if you will, if it was more accessible. Obviously I can watch it on YouTube, but I am a big fan of having that hard copy.
Yeah.
All that said, I think I'm probably at a solid 6.5 on this. I have a lot of fun watching it. When it comes to Halloween movies, I would say it's on the lower tier of Halloween movies for me, but just some great, I don't know if I can use the word lighthearted.
No,
but
totally lighthearted.
But
I
would say
yeah.
it is a hop, skip, and a jump away from Gremlins as far as really what the stakes are in this film. How intense everything is. You do have that spirit,
Which
groping the girl
potential,
sort of a deal, but it doesn't ever seem to go too terribly dark. So yeah, I'd say I'm at a 6.5. You're in an 8. We meet somewhere around
I would say 7.
7.3 or something like that. Give or take
if we're being
we wanted to get picky, but I would say we're probably at a solid 7 here on the Jony Horror Podcast for Trick or Treat 1986. The heavy hair metal highway to hell Halloween horror extravaganza. There you go. Yeah. Guys, if you haven't watched this movie, it's on YouTube. It's free. Go check it out. It's a fun, silly, good time. And it's Halloween themed. It has some good. There's a great bit where Eddie's standing on his porch and there's like 2 jack-o'-lanterns with just
and
like
it goes like this,
fucking
and then
flames
fire,
just bursting out.
that.
It's really
I love
cool.
that.
It feels like a Halloween movie. Like all the stuff at the Halloween dance, just their shitty little decorations, but it's shitty decorations in the 80s,
But they got a
which
dance
which
for
is
Halloween.
which is like to say that their shitty decorations in the 80s like make our good decorations now look like trash, because everything was just better. Like everything nowadays is so cheap and chintzy, and everyone's trying to figure out a way to cut costs and corporate greed and fuck
that.
we just all need to die already. We've had our time, humanity is a waste, and we need to let a new species take over. That's all that I have to say about that.
Peace and love. And rock on.
And heavy hair metal bands from hell. But before we wrap this up, maybe I don't know, just some more Halloween themed shit. Is there any new movie, not your early aughts rewatch list, but is there any new movie coming out in the next month? Because this is going to be dropping in October. That you're looking forward to.
Okay, I really want to see Barbarian. And do you know anything about it?
I just know that a girl goes to
I was told to go into it not knowing anything.
I don't know much.
I want to know nothing, and I want to go see that. Smile?
I
was apprehensive, but then realizing that, okay, I watch a lot of baseball. They literally put someone behind home plate of every baseball game. I don't know what night it was. Smiling like that, and it said smile on their shirt. And I was like, that's
good marketing.
I can get around that marketing.
That's good marketing.
I like that.
I was pretty not interested because I saw the trailer and I thought that they gave away an amazing scare at the very end of the trailer. I was like, why would you do that? That would have been insane to see in the movie. But some reviews have popped out, and some people who have seen it that are friends of my wife said it's actually pretty good. So I think it probably make for an easy going Halloween watch. Doesn't look like,
It's not going to be anything crazy.
Yeah, it's not going to be like a game changer, but
mm-hmm.
It looks like it could be fun.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Terrifier?
Bro.
Yeah. Okay. Terrifier 2?
Bro.
Okay. We already talked about Hellraiser. That comes out the same weekend as Terrifier 2, so that'll be a good weekend. Thoughts on Halloween Ends? I haven't watched much on it. I've watched the first teaser trailer, and I'm just like,
which was I feel like ages ago, and I'm just kind of like, I'm getting tired. Are you getting tired?
I'm pretty tired. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited. Because I'm always excited for a Halloween movie. But I'm also Halloween Kills, I'm just every time I think about that movie, I want to laugh. And let me put it this way. I don't think it's a good movie. The longer I sit on it, the more I'm like, Halloween Kills is just not a good movie. But I enjoy watching it because I'm
in the succession of it,
I'm so amused by all the insanely crazy choices that they made, and the terrible dialogue and the stupidity of all the characters. So I agree. I kind of feel like, I don't know, you're not a Star Wars fan, are you?
No.
Okay, well when they did this new trilogy, like the first one like was just like over the moon for the new Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens, and thought it was great, had a good time, and that was the way I felt when I saw the first Halloween movie. And then the second Star Wars movie came around, whatever it was, The Last Jedi, and it was like, oh no, and that was kind of how I felt about Halloween Kills. Like, both on the first watch, like, yeah, this is super great, and the more I sit with it, I'm like, no. And then by the time The Rise of Skywalker came around, I was like very indifferent, like still excited, but like it's not going to be good. And that's pretty much where I'm at with Halloween Ends. I mean, I'm excited. I'm going to see it. It's not going to hurt me at all.
No.
I don't have high expectations. I don't have any expectations. So I'm just going to go in and watch. And hey, if I have fun, that's all I want from a Halloween movie.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, at the end of the day, like, I don't have very high expectations for any of those movies. And I just kind of go, all right, we're just going to have a good time, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think it's that, and I think there's a couple of things sprinkled in here and there, but, you know, watched Rob Zombie's The Munsters last night.
Okay. Because it was just dropped 2 days ago, so.
Yeah, it's on Netflix, so you can watch it. You can watch it if you have Netflix, you watch it for free.
Yeah.
I bought the movie because I love Rob Zombie and I love The Munsters, so... I had a really pleasant time with that film. Good. A lot of fun.
Good.
All right, Gal Pal. Well, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. As always, it's great. Can't wait to have you back. Thank you guys for listening. If you made it this far, again, I apologize about the sound quality in this episode and the previous episode. But we have fun just talking about horror movies here, so that's all we're here to do. And if you like to listen, then that's groovy, man. And we're gonna try and do better in the future. Always trying to do better. And I think at the end of the day, as humans, that's all we can fucking do. So
High five to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is Johnny Horror with the Johnny Horror Show, the Johnny Horror Podcast. I'm going to be signing off. You guys can find me on the old Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, kind of on Facebook. But I'm around, I'm doing stuff, and we got more fun Halloween themed shit to look forward to. So, yeah, just hope you guys tune in for it. And Abby, thank you. Appreciate you. And happy Halloween, motherfuckers.
Woohoo!